Okay, so this video, another um, topic brought to my attention by Rex Stroth, and this one's actually from AskMen.com, which usually, from the best of my memory, has always been a pretty good source of information for men, but this clearly contradicts that notion. The title of the article is Obsolete Man Skills You Should Ditch. 7 obsolete manly skills and what to replace them with. And they go on to say that when you picture a manly man, the guy that everybody wants to be, you often picture somebody rugged. Since strength and success are so intertwined with masculinity, a man's man has to be someone who is good at things and unlikely to fail or fall short. Yeah, yeah, that's competition once again. For anyway. Um, um, in other words, in the popular imagination, a man has to possess skills in order to be a real man. Well, yeah, that helps. And they talk about how some skills, they label them as skills, are openly mocked. You could be the world's best crossword puzzle solver and be made fun of by a mediocre car mechanic for being a geek. Being being a good crossword puzzle solver is not a skill. That's not a real world skill. That doesn't put money in your pocket. That doesn't put food on the table. Okay, that's not a skill. That's a hobby. That's an interest, and you may be very good at it, but that's a hobby. I understand the difference. Or you could be the world's best opera singer and get razzed by a mediocre boxer for your high pitched voice. Again, not necessarily a skill. I would call that a talent. That's a talent. That's not a skill. Okay, even though it can make you money, to me that's more talent than skill. Okay, so without further ado, number one, the number one skill that you as a manly man should ditch. You should ditch this is hunting. And I'm going to paraphrase all these. They basically say that because we have readily available food, hunting's obsolete. And they say instead you should learn how to cook for yourself. Well, that's actually one that I agree with. I think that cooking, a man who can cook, is a skill, and I think that it's one that's necessary and it's sexy to women. You prepare a meal for a woman, generally that's considered pretty attractive. But to suggest that you don't need to know how to hunt, here's the problem with that. There are still in this world areas where if weather gets bad enough, people can't make it to the store. They live in such a secluded area in parts of the world that they have to hunt. To infer that that's just a skill you don't need is ignorant, to say the least. And what if we have shortages? Now, right now, currently, companies like DuPont, for example, are trying to engineer crops so that we can feed more people. Why? Because we're overpopulated and we're running out of food. And if you can't hunt at that point, and you're going to go off of their advice and just go to the store, then you might starve. Theoretically it could happen. So that's insanity. Number 2, fighting. You don't need to know how to fight anymore, according to Ask Men. You need to instead learn how to mediate. Okay, well, I'll tell you this: if you can talk your way out of a fight, okay, sure, but that's not always doable. People every day get attacked and and robbed and beaten to death, and it happens all the time. I was a cop for 15 years. I'm gonna tell you right now, you just can't mediate with certain people. You cannot. You can't reason with certain people. So that's I don't even need to really go in any further into that. further detail, that's fucking stupid. Number 3, repairing your car. Instead, you should learn how to code. You should learn how to be a software engineer. Okay, well, the problem with that advice is this. Our cars are made, well, they're pieces of shit anymore, and they're not worth a goddamn. Okay, so to be honest with you, I would rather have an older vehicle that I still have to wrench on from time to time. Like an old carbureted V8 is not going to give you the problems that a new vehicle is going to give you. And if something does go wrong, you can fix it. And furthermore, even for new vehicles, old vehicles, you still might need to know how to change a battery or an alternator or something that's basic level stuff. You don't need to be a, a certified mechanic, but what would you rather? Would you rather feel better? You'd feel better about knowing how to change a goddamn battery on the side of the fucking road than sit there and you and your wife and your kids maybe freeze or be exposed to the heat for God knows how long while you're waiting on a man to come and fix it for you. I just changed my truck batteries last summer, 2 of them, and you still need to learn how to do basic things like that. So that's ridiculous. Number 4, fixing things at home. Instead, you should learn how to decorate. Okay. No. And if you're going to decorate, you need to know how to use tools, shithead. I mean, if you're gonna put up decor, you got to know how to hang shit. You got to know how to level it. You're eventually going to use some tools to do that anyway. I don't fucking decorate. I clean. I don't like living in piss and squalor, but I don't decorate. And it's not misogynistic. My wife would rather decorate. Every woman I've ever known or been with would rather do that than me. That's just the way it is. Number 5, being a leader. Instead, you should learn how to collaborate. Nothing wrong with collabing. That's business. You're going to collab with people in life, and I agree with that. But to say, well, you don't need to be a leader anymore, you still need to learn how to lead because somebody's going to. There's always going to be a pecking order of things that there's no avoiding that. Okay, so you're gonna have to. I'd rather lead. Okay, and if you're good at it, if you're a naturally born leader, and they're putting it in a derogatory way, like that means that you're this dictator. No, there have been great leaders in this world that were great to their people. Okay, and if it weren't for them, they wouldn't have made the advancements that they did. Number 6, being a disciplinarian, referring to being a father. Instead, you need to learn how to communicate with your kids. I know. I agree. You should learn how to communicate with your kids, but there's nothing wrong with discipline. And if more children had that, then they wouldn't be the shitheads that they are today. Because I don't want my child to fear me, but I do want my child to fear the repercussions of their actions, their bad choices that they're going to have to answer to with me. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's accountability. So that goes right out the window. 7, holding your emotions in. Instead, you should learn how to talk about your feelings. Well, it's a little more delicate than I would put it. I don't think that holding things in is the best, but I think that you should learn how to vent. I think you should learn how to utilize different things to, circumvent and exhaust those things out of you. And if you have people you can confide in, then do it. What guy hasn't went to their buddy and said, "Hey, man, I gotta blow off some steam." We're already doing that. We've been doing that for a long time. But you don't want to reveal every emotion that you have because that's just not playing chess. There are times in life when you cannot reveal things. You cannot let certain people see everything you've got. You can't wear it on your shoulder. Okay, there's a reason for that. And if I have to explain that, then you're certainly not, you don't sit at my table. So that's that.